Hi, my name is Mark Olcott. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VitusVet. I'm also a veterinarian. And at VitusVet, we make software that helps veterinarians take better care of their patients and grow their practices. But that's just what we do. The reason why we do it is much more fundamental than that. At the end of the day, Vitus is not about software or IT or computers. It's about something much simpler, much more important to everybody who works in the veterinary industry. It's about helping us be better advocates for our patients. It's about speaking for those who can't speak for themselves. So today I'd like to share with you our future, our vision for the future of veterinary medicine, a much more connected future. And in fact, our story starts a few years ago with a little dog by the name of Bogey, who was out for a walk one day with his owners when he got attacked by another dog, a much larger dog. And Bogey ended up in his local emergency room, and his wounds weren't that bad, but he did need anesthesia and minor wound repair. But rather than having that procedure and going home, Bogey ended up on a ventilator, and he died the following morning. But he didn't die from his wounds, he didn't die from cerebral edema. He died because his treating veterinarian didn't have a key piece of information that day. You see, Bogey couldn't tolerate a particular anesthetic. He'd had trouble with it during his neuter, but he pulled through okay. But in the drama surrounding the dogfight, his owners didn't remember that. And this being a Sunday afternoon, his regular clinic was closed. And I was Bogey's vet that night. And I'll never forget how awful that made me feel. I felt terrible for Bogey. I felt terrible for his owners. This kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. But it does happen. It happens all too frequently. And one of the reasons this happens is that our profession is still highly fragmented when it comes to information sharing, right? So if you live on a dairy farm, these things are great. But when it comes to business, especially when it comes to sharing information, siloing is really, really bad. So imagine this silo represents a general practice, this silo represents an emergency hospital, and this one represents a cardiologist. Right now, it is very, very difficult to share information back and forth. And this is a big problem. In 2014, over 15 million pets went to an emergency room where there is essentially no after hours record access. Why? Fax and email don't work after hours. So this is a big problem. And we just don't think that's good enough anymore. So we're building a software system that helps connect veterinarians and pet owners much more closely together. So our software bolts on to your existing practice management software, and it just sits in the background, and it is constantly looking for changes in particular fields. So we pull a copy of medical notes, lab work, vaccines, prescriptions, digital images, patient alerts. We don't look at front desk stuff, pricing, estimates, none of that stuff at all. We're really focused on the medically relevant information because I, as an emergency veterinarian, that's what's really important to me, right? At 2 a.m., I'm not really that interested when your dog's distemper vaccine is due, but I'd really like to be able to read what the family veterinarian wrote earlier that day or what their lab work looked like. Did they take x-rays? Great, I don't have to repeat them. So connecting all this together and bringing pet owners on board, we think is a very powerful idea whose time has come. This kind of concept isn't all that new in veterinary medicine, but there's a couple things we're doing really differently. So pet portals, they've been around for quite a long time. They operate by pulling, among other things, vaccine dates and storing them on the cloud and facilitating monthly reminders. But again, at 2 a.m., I could care less about your vaccine records. Petly's an IDEX product that tries to make laboratory work more available to clients, which is great, but it's still not enough. ePet Health, eVet Health, really about the same. There's a couple things we're trying to do substantially different than that. And if you don't remember anything else about this presentation, remember this right down here, two-way sharing. So we not only create a portal for other veterinarians to see your records, we want to make it so that you can read each other's records, true two-way sharing, along with a branded app to make your business grow. The first benefit, the primary benefit of VitusVet is medical. The more information I have about my patients, the better care I can take of them. It's just that simple. But there's also strategic benefits to Vitus. And it's no secret that it's getting more competitive out there, and you don't have to be an economist to understand that a rising supply of veterinarians and relatively flat veterinary demand leads to increased competition and downward price pressure. At the same time, our clients have never been more connected. The bar keeps rising for what they expect. They have iPads, they're on Twitter, Facebook. Our clients are online, they're looking around for information, they're buying stuff on Amazon. So in a sense, I worry that we're heading for a perfect storm. More and more veterinarians trying to go after a piece of a pie that's not growing that fast, at the same time that these very clients are expecting more and more from the companies they do business with. But this also represents a tremendous opportunity. VitusVet is a differentiator. We can help you stand out. In an increasingly competitive field, veterinarians can't afford to simply keep up. Your peers may be content to maintain the status quo, but best-in-class veterinarians understand the value of using technology as a competitive advantage. Why? We're not just talking about doing new things just because they're new. There's a major reason to do this, and that reason is customer loyalty, client retention. We know from our interviews with pet owners that the vast majority of them want what VitusVet has to offer. And here's another thing that we can do. Last year, in 2014, mobile internet use outstripped desktop use, and there's no reason to think that that's going to change. Why? I think it's simple. It's convenience. How many of you have smartphones? Do you have apps? Do you use them? I bet you do. And most veterinary practices have a website, and that's great, but that's not enough. So we factored that into our solution. VitusVet comes with an app, a branded app to your practice that makes it a lot easier for clients to request appointments. All right? Another way to differentiate yourself, to get people talking about you. And this is doubly important for emergency and specialty practices where you have two clients, the referring veterinarian, but also the pet owner. And we've built this app to help referring veterinarians because although this is a pretty powerful solution as a standalone solution for ER and specialty vets, it becomes really powerful if we can get some of your general practices to join, again, for that two-way exchange of information. And the app, it just makes it easier for people to communicate with your practice. If they want to request an appointment, they can do it immediately. They don't have to wait till they get home and log on to your website. Push notifications like the kind on our app, 97% read rate. Email, not even close to that. We also built in a very cool reminder system, not only for medications, but for rechecks, lab work, surgeries, dentals, to really define compliance broadly and use our app to put your practice in their pocket. And also for so-called hub practices, if you will, emergency and specialty practices, what's it worth if you can now use communication as a strength instead of a weakness? I'm sure you all know the number one complaint by general practitioners about emergency and specialty clinics is communication. But with VitusVet, you can turn that on its head. Use communication as a differentiator. And if you do that, can you pull a couple of these practices who are maybe sending most of their cases somewhere else to now send them all to you? This may not be relevant if you're the only game in town, but there are fewer and fewer parts of the country where that's true anymore. We've also built in a really cool one-click referral process here where, let's just say, even if you only have 10 referring practices that join VitusVet and $1,000 revenue for referral, that adds up pretty substantially, right? If you make something easy for someone to do, they will do more of it. A veterinarian, while they're in the room with the patient, can refer them to you before the client even leaves. Make it easy for somebody. We're already seeing this happen. If you make it easy for your referring veterinarians to send you cases, they will do more of it. And also a front desk efficiency piece here. So this example is a 6-doctor emergency practice. Let's say you have 2 people answering the phone calls, and you're open 24/7. And those people spend 20% of their time faxing, refaxing, so on and so forth. At $16 an hour all in, again, including benefits and any other taxes and so forth, that's $5,000 a month. We can reduce this by over 90%. One of the big things we do for hub practices is automate all the outbound record sharing. So while I can't say you'll never send another fax again, you'll be able to send 90% fewer of them. And I should also point out here, this 20% of time spent on this, in hub practices, it's probably double that. 20 is an extremely conservative number. When you actually talk to the people who are doing that, it's extremely time consuming. And we just think that your customer service representatives have much better things to do with their time than shuffle papers. This is our pricing for emergency and specialty veterinarians, $179 per month per full-time veterinarian. Larger practices pay more. We do more for them. There's more data, more digital images, so forth. And general practices have a much lower pricing per month for a couple of reasons, but primarily we want to incentivize them to join this network so that the information is really there in two ways. But we're also not automating any record sharing for them. But the most important part of this slide is not the pricing. It's right up here, low risk. VitusVet is a monthly subscription software service. So you don't have to plunk down $40,000 for a software license or buy a bunch of hardware. We can deploy our software onto your server remotely. And if you don't like it, we'll turn it off. So there's two ways to be part of VitusVet. The first is for general practitioners, emergency clinic specialists to join. We deploy the software. We start pulling up a copy of your records. But there's also a free version for your referring veterinarians. Because when you join, we invite all of your referring veterinarians, even the paper practices, to take 30 seconds, register on our website so they have round-the-clock access to the information so we can send them daily patient updates via email. And so far, 92, 93% of our hospitals will register, even paper practices. So we send them the daily patient email updates. They can also log in with real-time access to a portal we create with them, and all that is free for them. They would only start paying if they wanted their data to be part of the network as well. So I hope I've answered questions you might have about VitusVet. If you have more questions or comments, or you'd like to see a demo of the software or the app, give us a call. Shoot me an email. We've got contact information on our website here. Our phone number is right here, 844-VitusVet. Look forward to hearing from you. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and have a great day.